should the provinces have more autonomy from the federal government?
Personally, I think so. I'm not a big fan of big government, so I think more personal autonomy, even at the local level, where they can handle things for better or for worse, depending on the situation, where they can handle things as they arise, because every place is different. And I do appreciate that decisions have been made that are stricter in certain regions and not other regions, and I think that's really smart in situations like that. There's no reason why economies in regions that aren't affected by COVID should suffer when they don't need to.
I'm actually American. I'm a dual citizen, so I come from the United States, where each state is quite autonomous. That can obviously help in some ways, but it can also create more tension in other ways. I guess I would need to know specifically what the autonomy is for, but I think in general, if it's something that's really not regional based, then it should probably be in line across the country. But there have to be considerations for different regions and local economies. Yeah.
Tough question, because if you get a premier that wants to do whatever they want to do, it can take your province away from what Canada is so good for. And I don't want to name Quebec, and I don't want to name Kenny and Alberta, but I think we need to stay part of Canada, otherwise provinces could go different.
I think there's new things that need to be negotiated, like climate change and some of the environmental things that weren't in our original constitution. They need to be talked about and figured out who's going to be responsible for those things.
I don't know. Yeah, a common Canadian sort of status quo for things is important, but the provinces are so different. BC versus the Maritimes versus the North versus Ontario. I think it's important for the provinces to maintain a lot of autonomy because their needs are so different.
I think so. I think a central government can be counterproductive sometimes. It's too much bureaucracy, and we got to go back to Ottawa to get stuff that they don't understand what's going on out here. So yeah, I think the province should have more powers. And the federal government should be an oversight thing, maybe in charge of fisheries, maybe in charge of the military, and maybe in charge of the environment to some degree. But, for day-to-day stuff, I think that should be more of a provincial jurisdiction.
It depends on what the topic is. I mean, overall more autonomy. I think they have a lot of control over healthcare and everything else. I think the powers that are distributed now are fine. And I don't think that's the focus right now. I think the three levels of government have been given their control, and they know what their mandate is, and they're controlling it very well.
I think that depends on who's running the federal government. I don't think the federal government we have now is doing our country any favors. So right now, yes, they should. Once we get a better party in government, maybe things will be better for the provinces in general.
There's no right or wrong answer on that. We need good provincial and federal leaders. And BC and Canada, in my opinion, do not have that.
I like the Canadian model. I think provinces should have the autonomy that they need in order to make the local situation work for them. I don't think the federal government should be involved in things where the province knows the situation best, except in an advisory or in a way that will help facilitate a response.
I think central government should pay more attention to diplomatic and self-defendant, that kind of affairs. And for the local health, local economy, the premier should pay more attention and have more freedom to do. Yeah.
Yes and no, in terms of I don't want the federal government telling us how we should live or do our farming, our logging, our fishing, and all that type of thing. But we also pay quite a price to the federal government for transfer funds. And so we expect that we get that kind of assistance back from the federal government. If we don't, then
I would see that they interfere or intervene quite a bit because they have a very high hand over the top of us for that. I do think we do need assistance in that respect, but that's because we're not entirely independent yet.
The way I see it right now, the federal government is doing a fabulous job in supporting the provinces. I'm not sure that certain provinces could get more autonomy and survive. I really don't think so.
You're getting into who's on first base and who's on second base. It's all about working together, folks. It's all about working together. Who cares on first base and who cares who's on second base? If you don't work together, it doesn't matter who's on first or second. You will not win the game. You will not win the game if you don't know who to throw the ball to.
No, I think we definitely need the federal government's backing for the provinces. So we definitely need the federal government, backing up the provinces. So, your thoughts?
Yep, I agree. Absolutely. Good answer.